So welcome to CIS131 video on methods. So if you guys, I know many of you guys already have had Java before, but some of you haven't. So I wanted to kind of just quickly go over methods. Just kind of show you how to make them, even though the book kind of describes those to do. So method is basically, like in Python, would be similar to a function. But basically, it's a way to call separate things in a particular function. So if you look at the main here, you can kind of see all the aspects of a method. You have public, which is the permissions. Public means anyone can access it. In this case, static means, we'll get into this a little bit later, but a static method is a method that doesn't need to be, that's part of the object or the class methods, but it can basically doesn't need to, you don't need to instantiate the class to get this value. In this case, voids return values, returning nothing. And the main, so in Java, these are the, if you run the program from command line, these are the values that you can input in. Or if you are so inclined, I'll need to create a new one. I'm going to just do run. And then, let's see, where's Java application. And we'll say this one is CIS131 dot, I want to say methods, and apply. And let me change the name of this to, basically you can run the arguments in here. And so basically this method will, a main method in Java is the one that gets run by the program. And so say I want to make one that basically adds two numbers together. So I'm going to make this public, static, and we'll get into how to do different methods when we go over the classes section. And return an integer, and then I'll do main, I'll call this add two numbers. And I'll call this int num1, int num2, and then I'll say I'll need to make, so I'm getting an error up here because I haven't defined a return type. So I'm going to do int, and I'll call this return int, and I'll instantiate this value with a 0, and then I'll say return int equals num1 plus num2, and then I'll redo return int, and you can see that it will return this value as a value, and then I can kind of call this in here. So what I'll do is I'll just make something from scratch. I'm going to import scanner so I can read in values. So I'll do Java util dot scanner, and then I'll make a scanner. So I'll do scanner, and I'll call this scanner equals new scanner system dot in, and then I always like to make sure when I declare a scanner that I always close it. So I'll do scanner dot close before I do anything else. And I just put everything I want to scan in between it. So I'll do input first value, and so I'll do int, call this just num1. So notice I can do num1 because even though the value's down here is because these are in Java, the braces show a different scope, kind of like the indentions in Python. So numint, and I'll do scanner and next int. I'll get you num1. And I'll go input second value, and num2 equals scanner dot next int. So this with the next value. Remember, I'm reading system in, which means reading it from the console. And then I'll call int sum equals add two numbers, then num1. So notice how this type here is lining up with this type here. And then a part of my dog barking. And so this value going here, and then kind of just to give you some outputs, I'll do system.out.println. We'll do enter number 1. And you'll notice if you watch me program, I like to copy and paste. So I'm going to copy this, paste this here. I'll do enter number 2. And I'll say system.out.println the sum is, and then in Java plus equals concatenation, so plus sum equals this, and then I'll run this, and then I have the configuration already set up, so I'll run it, and hopefully it runs. So I can't find CIS. Let's see what I call this one. Oh, so I messed up. I need to change this to just methods. There's no thing, and then I'll try running it again. So enter number 1. I'll do 5. I'll do 6, and the value should be 11. And then notice here how it goes through all the way. And then so I like to check to make sure the values are going through. So if you guys remember from the previous one, I used the debugger. So I double click on this margin here and get a little blue dot. And I change this from run to debug. And your user interface might be a little bit different. I have actually the C set up, but it's very similar. Just make sure to click the little bug here to do the debugger. So I'm going to run this again. You'll see the little instances. So I got enter number. I'll do 5, 6, and then notice how it goes into the debug mode. It'll show the values, and then you can put your marker over the numbers, your cursor over the numbers. You can see what the values are, and then also if you click up here, you can also see what the different values are. And it was kind of tight, but I made the window kind of tight so you can see it on YouTube better. And then what I'll do is you can click this. I can't quite see it. But if you hit F6, it'll go to the next line. F6 on the top bar, F6 again. Notice how it puts the values here, and it's going to return. And then notice how it will go outside of this and then print the values out. And then I close it. And if you hit F8, it will finish running. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you need any more help, please ask questions in the comments or in the discussions. And me or one of the fellow students will be happy to answer them for you.